A couple of weeks into social distancing, I saw an article called "That Feeling You're Having is Grief." I remember thinking, grief? Why? I'm safe. Those I love are safe. It's unlikely I'll lose my job. I'm getting to spend more time with my kids. What do I have to grieve about? We typically associate grief with something bad that has happened, typically a loss. The loss of a loved one, the loss of a job or a relationship. But grief can also be over good things that don't happen. Graduations, vacations, our routines that suddenly fell off the rails, hit a wall, and then rolled down the hill. Our life being disrupted isn't the same as communities who have experienced the coronavirus in more significant ways. But there is grief. We don't have to live in New York or China to feel the weight of loss taking its toll on humanity. That's part of the Christian faith, to recognize and empathize with the grief of others. Many of us have heard of the stages of grief defined by Elizabeth Kubler-Ross: denial, anger, bargaining, depression, acceptance. When I hear those, it makes me feel like there's a trajectory with an ending point. I'm very grateful for Kubler-Ross's work. She allowed a tremendous amount of meaning-making after World War II and during the Vietnam War. And it is true that at some point, pain does feel different. At some time, you begin to see a new way. But the way that we have taken her work and made it seem like if we just move through the stages, at some point grief is over, well, that's just a load of malarkey. Our work isn't to get rid of grief. Our work is to become her friend. You see, it doesn't really matter if you think you should or should not feel what you are feeling. Your feelings don't go away just because you tell them to. About a week ago, Reverend Eric, Nora, Finn, and I had to come to the church so that we could film a welcome video. Eric and I had been to the church a time or two, but it was the first time the kids had been in the building since March. "Don't touch anything," we said sternly. "Don't use the bathroom. Don't come out of my office." I fear what was usually a second home to them now felt more like a haunted house. As we move towards re-entry into the church, I know that Reverend Eric and the leadership team is working to balance safety with that warm, welcome feeling that we all need. As we approached the building, Dick Pale was doing some work outside. Dick was one of the first people that my kids met when we arrived in Bozeman, so they normally would have run up to him, giving him a big, huge hug and receiving love and support. But not this time. I had taught my kids not to hug. Grief is here. Your goal isn't to move through the stages so that it will go away. Showing emotion, anger, or tears isn't a sign that you aren't doing well with the grief. It's a sign that you've moved a bit of that grief out of your body and into the world where others can hold it with you. The church emergency number is 406-333-1856 because your mental health matters.